Hi, hello. Welcome back to class. I'm Kayla. You found your way to Zyre Yoga today. The day that this is premiering is going to be the 5th of July, so I'm going to take a moment and say happy birthday to my very best friend, Kate. She probably won't ever watch this, but if you ever decide to get into yoga, happy birthday to you, my friend. So today we're going to be doing sort of a unusual kind of flow. So we'll be doing a little bit where we're going doing some fast movements, and then we're going to slow it down and hold some longer poses to kind of get more into those deeper muscles. And if you have a couple of blocks, we're going to need those today. If you don't have blocks, just grab some really thick books or some pillows or both, because we're going to be kind of sitting on them and using them in different ways. So when you are ready with all of your stuff, go ahead and make your way onto your mat. And we're just going to start seated. So find your way into a nice comfortable seat, crossing at the ankles. If that's not comfortable for you, if you sit on a block or a pillow or something to bring your hips a little bit higher, that might be a little bit more comfortable. And if it's still not, you don't have to sit cross-legged. We're just going to lengthen our spine, close the eyes, start to take some long, deep inhales through the nose. As you start off, maybe it's more comfortable to exhale out through the mouth. And just breathing like that a couple of times. Just slowing everything down. When you're ready, you can start to just breathe in and out through the nose if it's comfortable, sending the air all the way down to the belly and trying to lengthen on the inhale and the exhale. Starting to engage with those core muscles, allowing them to press the air out of your lungs. Just seeing if you can lengthen a little bit taller as you inhale, and exhaling as you release tension in your shoulders and your face. Just taking a moment to find anywhere in your body that you might be holding tension. See if you can release it. If it can't be released, just bringing your mind there, maybe making a point in your practice to be a little bit kinder to that part of your body. If it's somewhere that's really tight or really sore, maybe you have an injury. Try to keep your focus on your breath, on the present moment, on your body, letting any thoughts from your day just release with your exhale. On your next inhale, we're just going to reach the arms up above the head. Try to lengthen up as long as you can. You can keep your eyes closed. As you exhale, take the hands down in front of you. Just walk them out a little bit and let your chin drop down to your chest. On your next inhale, just walk your hands back. We'll lengthen the arms up above the head again. Get really tall. This time, take your palms together, lower them down to your heart center. You can keep the palms pressing, or you can take the palms right one on top of the other into the heart. We're just going to take a moment to set an intention for our practice. And that intention today is going to be, my body is exactly where it needs to be. Just allowing that intention to sort of wash away any judgments that we have on our practice, on where our body is, how it's feeling today. Just repeating it in your mind a few times. And when it feels good, inhale, lengthen up again. This time, fluttering the eyes open, we're just gonna exhale and twist over towards the left. Inhale, back up to center and over to the right. So moving a little bit quickly here, not coming really far into that twist. Just using your belly, pulling it in and back. Noticing how it feels on each side. You can bring the movement a little bit faster if it feels good. Just really pull in through the core. Try to keep your spine nice and long. We'll take one more over towards the right, and then as we come over to the left, we're gonna hold it. So taking your right hand onto your left knee, see if you can lean back just a little. Maybe rolling your left shoulder. Try to open up through the chest, rolling your shoulders back, but lean just a little bit. Slow, long inhales and exhales. When you're ready, we're going to start to shift the weight over to the left. Walk your hands out, holding here. If it feels good, you can sink down. Otherwise, just stay up a little bit high, but try to keep your right hip down and keep pulling in through that belly. Still taking those long inhales and exhales. When it feels good, slowly come back to center, lengthen all the way up. And as you exhale, we'll come to the other side. So left hand onto your right knee, just start to lean back. See how far you can take your right hand back behind you. And try to squeeze your shoulder blades towards each other, pulling in through the belly. Noticing if maybe the twist feels a little bit different on this side. On your next exhale, come back towards the right and start to walk the fingers, hips out, just relaxing into this. Keep pulling your belly in so your spine's nice and long. Try not to round through the spine, and the left hip is still pressing back. Just seeing if this side feels a little bit different, adjusting your legs if you need to. And keep breathing here. When you're ready, walking your hands back, lengthen them up over the head one more time. As you exhale, release the hands down. We're just going to make our way over onto all fours, facing the right side of the mat. Start to move through cat and cow. And then find your way back towards center. Take the hands just a little bit forward, tuck your toes under. We're going to do sort of a quick movement again, so alternating between all fours and towards a downward facing dog. And then we're going to hold downward facing dog when it feels good. So when you're ready, keeping the knees bent a little bit, start to send your chest back, and then come back down. And just move through this a few times. Each time maybe you can get your legs a little tiny bit straighter. Maybe your heels can come towards the floor a little bit more. If you want to bring some core work into this, you can let your knees hover off the ground. They're so close that they're almost touching or even touching a little bit, but the weight isn't into them. Try to move your breath with your movements. We'll take one more down. And then settle back into your downward facing dog. Try to get your hips really high. Keep the knees bent as much as you need to and pull your underarms towards your face. Breathing here. Press into each one of your fingertips. When it feels good, we're going to lift up on the heels And then send them down. So you're coming onto your toes, coming back down a couple of times. Really get that movement going, moving as quickly as feels good for you. Try to keep those shoulders nice and wide, armpits towards your face. And then see how it feels to just let those heels settle. Maybe you can get them a tiny bit closer. Press into both feet. See if you can send your inner thighs back behind you. Make sure you're pulling in through the core. And then when you're ready, coming back down onto the knees, take a round of cat and cow, untuck those toes. When you're ready for it, we're going to start to sort of move back towards a child's pose and then come back up. So just like we've done with the other movements, doing it a little bit quickly, getting that movement into the body. See if each time you can maybe send the hips a little bit further back, the arms a little bit longer. If it feels better for you, you can take your knees really wide for this. Try to squeeze your glutes as you come back up. And then we'll settle down into it. See if you can lengthen your spine along your thighs, arms reaching long. Holding in your child's pose. Breathing here. See if you can press into your hands and get your hips a little further back towards your heels. Melting in with each exhale. When you're ready for it, coming back up to all fours, let's tuck our toes, send our hips up and back, downward facing dog. See if you can maybe get your legs a little bit straighter. And then we're going to walk our hands back to our feet. And then we'll kind of move here, so lengthening halfway up. See if you can straighten the legs just a little bit longer. Exhale down, bend the knees so that your belly and thighs can be against each other. So if you're rounding like this, that's not going to get what we want. We want our spine nice and long on our thighs. Bend the knees as much as you need to. And then lengthen up with the spine, roll your shoulders back, coming to that halfway lift, and lower back down. So just take it a couple of times. Find something to look at so you don't get dizzy. Try to move with your breath, noticing how one leg feels compared to the other. Keep pulling the belly in as you exhale. Using your hands to help you. And then let's see the next time that you have yourself in that fold, if you can hold it. Maybe you can straighten the legs just a tiny bit more, but keep your belly and thighs against each other. Maybe hold on to the backs of the legs, let your head be heavy, shake it yes and no. Maybe each time you exhale, you can get the legs just a tiny millimeter straighter, keeping the belly on the thighs, keeping that low back safe. Maybe you can pull the navel in, lengthen the spine a little longer. If you find that your knees are really bent, that's okay. Remembering our intention and being all right with where your body is today. When you're ready, using your hands to help you, we're going to roll ourselves all the way up. Lengthening to reach towards the ceiling. As you exhale, we're going to roll ourselves all the way back down. Walk yourself out towards a plank. And And coming down onto your knees, lower all the way to the belly. Tops of the feet on the ground. Bring your hands so that they're right next to your ribs, and we're gonna do similar again. So every time we come into a posture, we're gonna move into it dynamically and then hold. So when you're ready, we're just gonna slowly start to roll up and roll back down. Make sure you're pressing your pelvis into the ground, and you're just lifting as high as you can without using the weight in your hands. Squeezing the glutes, the tops of your feet are pressing firmly into the floor. As this feels a little bit better each time, maybe you can come a little higher and start to put some weight into your hands, but make sure you're not putting weight into that low back. Belly is pulling up away from the floor. Shoulder blades are trying to squeeze towards each other. Tops of the shoulders are squeezing down towards the hips. And then the next time that you come up, let's bring our hands forward a little bit, finding our way onto our fingertips. Roll the shoulders back and we'll hold here. So a little bit higher of a cobra with the weight into the hands. Press the pelvis in, pull the belly up. Try to bring that arch up into your upper back. If it feels good, start to shift your head side to side, just looking over one shoulder and the other. Try to melt the shoulders away from the ears. Keep pulling your belly in. And then gently rolling back down. Hands right by your sides. Press your way back through all fours. Take a moment, wiggle everything out. Making sure you have your blocks or your books close by to you. And we're going to send our hips all the way back up. Find your way into downward facing dog. See if you can get your legs a little bit straighter. Bringing those shoulders towards each other. When you're ready, we're going to start by reaching your right leg up. And then bring it back down. So just a few times like that. Try to keep nice and long through the spine. Bending in that left leg if you need to. Last time up here, bend that right knee. Start to open your hips and then close them back down. Opening and closing a couple of times. Just moving through this dynamically. Coming onto your left toes if you need to. And then this time we'll hold it. Try to keep your shoulders facing down. See if you can sink that left leg into the floor. Not the left leg, the left foot. Holding here. Bringing your mind back to that intention. If you're finding this difficult and you need to modify, do it. And don't judge yourself for it. When you're ready, the right leg's going to step all the way up. Bring your left knee down. Finding a kneeling lunge. Using your blocks if it feels better for you. Roll your shoulders back. And we're going to move through this dynamically to start. So we're going to shift the weight. Straighten your front leg out. And then shift back in. Make sure to squeeze the glute on that left leg. Press into the top of your foot so that you're not putting weight into your leg. And just move with your breath. Keep your spine as long as you can. And try to keep your hips square to the front of your mat. The next time you have yourself in that half split, holding there. If you'd like, you can lengthen yourself out a little bit more and then stack those blocks underneath. your front leg, or just stack them underneath your hands and give yourself a little bit of a platform. Keep squeezing the glute on that back leg. We're just gonna sink the weight, lengthening forward if you need to. Try to target that hamstring and keep your hip flexor nice and safe by squeezing your glutes. See if you can lengthen your spine. Maybe you can fold over that front leg a little bit more. Just a few more breaths here. And wherever you are, we're going to take the hands to the inside of the front leg. Adjust yourself as you need to, bringing your left foot back behind you. So you're coming into like a half-wide seat, but you're sitting on your left heel. If that doesn't feel good, just bring the foot out underneath you and sit down onto your booty with your foot inside the thigh. And we're just going to move dynamically again. So inhaling to lengthen, exhaling, come down. So if you feel like you're locking out that right leg, we're going to bring the block right underneath the knee so that it's nice and soft and relaxed. Just kind of doing like these weird push-up action with your arms. Try to keep your spine nice and long. Hopefully feeling the inside of that thigh. And this next time that you're coming forward, just hold here. So if you'd like, if you have multiple blocks or multiple books and you can, just bring your forearms down onto the block or the book, adjust it to where it's comfortable, where your spine is still nice and long, and let your right leg be relaxed. Notice what's going on with your left leg. You might feel this a lot in your ankle. If it starts getting uncomfortable, you can move out of it. When you're ready, coming onto your hands. If you have a block under your knee, remove it. Move your blocks over towards the left side of your mat, and we're just going to adjust ourselves back towards all fours, but we're facing the left side of the mat. Move your hips around a little bit, and then tuck your toes under and send your hips up and back, finding your downward facing dog, pedaling the legs, noticing if maybe your right leg feels a little bit more open than the left. And then we'll do it all again on the other side. So we'll start out by lifting the left leg up, squeezing it up, and bringing it back down. Try to keep your upper body nice and still. Keep your belly pulled in. Bending your right leg if you need to. We'll just take this a couple more times, noticing any weird sensations you might be having in either of your legs. And this next time that you're up, go ahead and bend the knee, open your hips up, and close them back down. Opening and closing. Keep your belly pulled in so the weight's not going into your low back as you open. Lifting and lowering off of that right heel if you need to. The next time you have the leg open, just hold it there. See if you can get a little bit further. Try to square your shoulders back down towards the floor. And then we'll close it up. Walk that foot all the way up. Finding your kneeling lunge. Get your blocks or books. Framing the front leg, using it for some support so you can get nice and long. Top of the back foot's going to come to the floor. Make sure you're squeezing the glute anytime that you're in this lunge. And when you're ready, you can start to move forward and back, shifting the weight and coming back in. Make sure you squeeze the glute on that back leg as you come forward, keeping your hip flexor nice and safe. Not putting too much weight into the joint and allowing the front of the hip to release. So just keep moving with this as it feels good for you. We'll take one more time coming back, and then just like before, maybe you can come a little bit lower. Maybe you want to shift towards a split and then bring blocks right underneath your knee to give it a little bit of support and to keep it from locking out. And just try to keep your spine nice and long. Notice if this side feels any different. Squeezing that back hip, squeezing the glute. Noticing if you're feeling it somewhere else on this side. I'm feeling it in my calf a lot on this left leg. Not as much in my hamstring. Just keep breathing. See if you can lengthen your spine a little longer each time. Don't forget to squeeze the glutes on that right leg. Keep your hip nice and safe. You could even put something underneath that hip if you need to. Couple more long breaths here. Hopefully as you hold it, it gets a little bit more comfortable. When you're ready, we'll take the hands to the inside of that left leg. Shift your way around, bringing the right heel underneath your bum cheek or onto the floor and sit. We're going to come into that like half straddle. Take a block under your knee if you need to support it. Hands out front, lengthen really long through your spine, and just start with some dynamic movement. So lifting up and lowering down. Noticing again if this side feels different than the other side felt. If you need to modify, just reminding yourself that it's okay not to judge where your body is at today. We'll take these movements a couple more times. And then this time, if it feels good, you can sink all the way down just like on the other side. If you like, maybe just bringing your forearms onto a block. Adjusting anything that you need to make this comfortable for you. Starts to be too much for your ankle, just find your way onto your booty with your leg out in a half wide seat instead of being on your heel. We're looking more for the stretch on the inside of the thigh rather than through that ankle. Just take a few more breaths here. And when you're ready for it, slowly find your way up. Release that block out. You're going to take both blocks, put it to the left side. Shift yourself around, finding your way back to all fours, facing the right side of the mat, just shifting around through the hips. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit more openness. We're going to take the arms right out in front of us. Try to keep your knees and your hips right in a line, so your hips stay stacked over the knees. Arms are going to come out, and we're just going to start to shift the shoulders and the chest down towards the floor. Your forehead can tap if you need to, and then lengthen back up. Pull your belly in, see if you can tilt your tailbone towards the ceiling. Maybe you can bring your nose to the floor. Taking it dynamically at first, moving up and down, just coming to the edge of stretch, not into the deepest possible painful point you can move yourself into. Couple more times here. If it feels good, maybe you can start to look forward, tapping your chin. And then whenever you'd like, just relax down into it. Maybe you can get your chest to the floor. Maybe you just need to bring your forehead down. When you're ready for it, press into your hands. Slowly walk yourself back. We're going to come to sitting onto the heel. So if this doesn't feel good for you, just skip this completely. You can skip forward in the video. First of all, just taking yourself, rolling the shoulders back a few times. And then we're going to bring some movement down into the ankles. So if you need to, take your blocks to start right onto the side so you can put your hands onto it. We're just going to lift one knee at a time, keeping the tops of the feet down on the ground. So you might notice that this is really tight. You might feel it in the front of your ankle, but you might also feel it in that compression area right above your heel. One might feel a little bit more resistant to this movement than the other. If it feels okay for you, instead of doing one at a time, you can move the blocks back a little bit, pull your belly in, and start to lift both heels at once. Starting to shift your body back a little. Maybe you can come a little bit higher up onto the toes. Just find where it feels good for you. And then if it's not too much, we're going to take our blocks, gently shift your way so your knees are right on top, and hold here. So you should feel this in the fronts and the backs of your ankles. Shifting your weight forward a little bit if it's too intense. Noticing if one feels a little tighter than the other. My right one is definitely feeling this more than the left. And then when you're ready for it, move those out of the way. Shift your way forward. Ooh, untuck, or not untuck, tuck the ankles. And then maybe just moving them around. Ooh, maybe that caused a little bit of stiffness. Just try to bring some movement back in. Maybe you want to take the tops of the feet on the ground and bang them against the ground or the toes. And just shift your blocks back so that they're at that back of your mat again, because we're going to come up, find downward facing dog. See if you can get a little bit more length down that back body. Maybe your heels can sink a little bit further towards the floor. And then we're just gonna take the feet wide, start to walk the hands back, come about halfway, and we'll move dynamically towards Malasana, toward that yogi squat. So send your hips down and lift back up. So you might notice that you got a lot of feelings happening in your ankles after that other stretch. It's okay if they're lifted. You could even roll the back part of your mat up underneath your ankles to support them. Not under your ankles, your heels. So just moving here dynamically. Getting the body prepared to hold in that sort of restorative posture. And then when you're ready for it, we'll start to sink down, move your hands back, take whatever you have, maybe a block, maybe a book, maybe some pillows, and just find where you can comfortably hang out, opening up through those hips. Try to get your chest nice and long. I like to press my forearms into my knees and try to send my tailbone back, almost arching in my back. Slow, long breaths here. If you find that you don't feel like you're where your body feels like, or where you feel like your body should be, maybe you're really high, maybe you need to sit into a chair and just bring your legs wide, that's okay. Remembering our mantra and not judging where our body needs to be today. As you're hanging out here, you might find that you can sink down a little bit lower. Keep trying to reach that chest nice and high. If it feels good, we're going to start to bring the toes in just a little bit, so they're not pointed super far out, but they're not pointing straight forward. See if you can lean forward a little bit more. If you have something under your hips, maybe you can sink down a little more. Just bringing your weight in a little bit deeper. If that's not accessible to you, that's okay. And then we're just going to bring the weight forward, hands on the floor. Just kind of put the weight into the hands, the knees are on the elbows, and then move back. So just shifting forward and back again. Seeing how that feels. If you have a block still underneath your booty, go ahead and move it out of the way. And we're going to take the hands onto the ground. The knees are going to come towards the elbows, and we're just going to sink forward with the chest. We're not coming off the ground. We're just putting a little bit more weight. And then go ahead and release. Find your way to all fours. Take the knees towards each other. Tuck your toes under. Pull your belly in. We're just going to tap the knees out, or not the knees, the toes out and back in. So try to keep your knees next to each other, just internally rotating through those hips. Try to pull in through your belly. And then we're going to make our way into hero pose. So for hero pose, the tops of your feet are going to be on the ground. We're going to walk ourselves back. Take a block with you if you need to. You can stick it underneath your booty. Pillow works too. You want the tops of your feet on the ground just like we did before, but this time your heels are going to be right outside of your hip. You can shift your way, move your calves out of the way, and try to keep your knees together. Maybe you find you don't need that block and you just want to use your hands to support you. Pull your belly in, try to send your sitting bones straight down to the ground so they're not arching back. If it feels good, you can start to walk your hands back a little bit. Maybe just tiny little arch with the pelvis. a little bit at a time. Coming a little higher off of the heels if you need to. And then maybe you can hold that pelvic tilt, belly's pulled in. Maybe you have the ability to lay all the way down. When you're ready, coming back forward. Ooh, crossing at the ankles. Lengthen the legs straight out in front of you. Move the flesh away from your sitting bones. We're going to start out just by sitting up, pulling the toes back and forth. Maybe doing 1 foot at a time. Noticing if one ankle is still maybe a little bit tighter than the other. And then settling in here, we're going to move the flesh away from our sitting bones, but we're going to bend the knees. Take your blocks, pillows, bricks, whatever you need. Stick them underneath your thighs. I want you to keep your thighs nice and close to your belly. Knees bent. Just find where it feels good. See if you can kind of scoot your hips back, lengthen your belly forward. Maybe you can grab for the feet. Knees are bent, belly and thighs next to each other. If it feels good, you can scoot the legs out a little bit. Just find where it's comfortable, but you can feel a little bit of a stretch, and we're going to let the head drop down. Belly and thighs are staying together, so try not to just round in your back. You have that back nice and long, and your head's just dipping down. When you're ready for it, take your hands onto the floor, walk yourself back up. Woo. Move those blocks out of the way, shift your hips forward, find your way onto your back. Take your hands, press into your hips, releasing any tension in your low back. And then we're going to do similar to that movement that we started with the twists. So get those blocks out of your way. Pull your belly in nice and tight, pressing the low back onto the ground. You can keep your feet down on the floor and just dynamically twisting side to side. Or if it feels good, pull your belly in, bring the knees up, maybe taking them above the hips, and we're going to sink over. Don't bring them all the way down to the floor. Use your core, pull back in. Make sure your low back is flat through the middle, and then over to the other side. Just taking it back and forth a few times. Hopefully it gives a little bit of a massage on that low back. The next time you have yourself over to the left, let the knees drop all the way down. Maybe reach your right arm back, maybe look over it. Finding a full twist here. Try to shift your shoulders so they can both be on the ground. Keep pulling in through that belly. Bringing your mind back to your mantra, back to that intention. When it feels good, coming back through center, evening out your hips, and then let the knees drop over towards the right, extending that left arm out, adjusting your shoulders as you need to. Maybe looking over that left arm. We'll just take 1 or 2 more long breaths here. And then gently come back to center. Pulling in the knees, just rock around a little bit. And then when you're ready, just pull everything in. Give yourself a nice tight hug, squeezing every single muscle in your whole body. Hold a long, deep inhale in. And as you exhale, just release everything out. Find where you'd like to be for a nice, short Shavasana. Taking a long, deep inhale in, exhaling out through the mouth. And allowing your breath to settle back into its natural state. Repeating your intention in your mind and releasing any judgment that you had about your practice, allowing it just to be. If you're ready for it, you can start to bring movement back into your body. Really slow and small, just with the fingers and toes. And then maybe bringing the arms over the head, lengthening really long through the whole body. As you exhale, bend one knee at a time and gently roll over to one side. Pausing here. Take a moment to blink your eyes open. And then when you're ready, just gently press your way up to any seated position that's comfortable for you. Hands onto your knees, lengthen up through the spine. Open your chest, maybe lifting your chin. And then as you exhale, relaxing down, we'll reach the arms above the head, lengthening, and exhale the hands back down to the heart center. Taking a moment here, giving gratitude to your body, bringing your mind back to that mantra, and trying to take it off of your mat and into your day, just allowing some forgiveness and some non-judgment for how your body is feeling at all times. Thank you so much for joining me. May the light within me reach out and touch the light within all of you. I hope you have a beautiful day. Please let me know if you liked this class, if you want anything specific in my videos. And please, please, if you like it, share with your friends. If you feel inclined to send me a payment, my PayPal is in the comments below, and I will see you all next time. Bye.